Two things are infinite, the universe and human stupidity, and I'm not sure about the universe. Albert Einstein.
Never argue with stupid people. They will drag you down to their level and then beat you with experience. Mark Twain.
Stupidity combined with arrogance and a huge ego will get you a long way. Chris Lowe.
Think of how stupid the average person is and realize half of them are stupider than that. George Carlin.
If you'd like to earn CPE credit for listening to this episode, visit earmarkcpe.com. Download the app, take a short quiz, and get your CPE certificate. Continuing education has never been so easy. And now, on to the episode.
Hello and welcome to Oh My Fraud, a true crime podcast where statistically our criminals are 2% dumber at committing fraud than external auditors are at catching fraud. I'm Greg Kyte.
And I'm Caleb Newquist. That statistic, Greg, comes from the ACFE report to the nations on occupational fraud and abuse. Am I right?
Yes, that's exactly right. The report says that 5% of frauds are initially detected by accident, but only 3% are detected by external auditors. Ergo, fraudsters are 2% dumber at committing fraud than external auditors are good at catching fraud. But Caleb, before we get into it, you good if we read a quick listener review?
I'm fine with that. Yes.
Not you're kind of on the fence. It seems like you're kind of on the fence.
Yeah.
It's a good review. It's a great review.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah. It says, I did fraud investigations for over a decade. All my friends tell me I should do a podcast about my stories because it would be fun and be a good side hustle, except you guys have already done that, and you do it way better than I could and are way more funny than I am. So I have to tell my friends that they need to listen to you instead. Thanks for stealing a potential revenue stream from me that I'm sure is making you more money than Rita Crundwell ever got.
Not to give too much away, but both Greg and I have started quarter horse breeding umpires with all the money we've earned from hosting the Oh My Fraud podcast.
I was just brushing a quarter horse right before the podcast, as a matter of fact, to make sure its coat was shiny.
Show ready.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. If I mean, Caleb,
yes,
literally, if you round up, we have made $35 million from our ads for the South Carolina Association of Certified Public Accountants.
That's true. Thanks, South Carolina.
You have to round way
way
up. But yeah, if you do round up to the closest $35 million, we've
done it.
We've done it. Yeah, we're killing it.
So if you are bitter that Oh My Fraud stole your potential side hustle, please take a minute to write us a review. Who knows? We might even read yours on the show. Also, if your firm is looking for in-house ethics or fraud training that doesn't suck, we also do that.
We also do keynote addresses at events and conferences, and you can hire us to put on a pretty fantastic webinar too.
Yeah, we just did one.
We did. Yep, not too long ago.
It was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you want more info on pricing and availability, send us an email at ohmyfraud@earmarkcpe.com, and we'll let you know.
Yeah. Just send us that email.
Send the email.
What are you waiting for?
Right.
What do they say? Operators are standing by now.
Yeah, that's it. Operators are standing by. Okay, Greg, changing subjects. Today is a special day because it is our first ever dumb fraud roundup episode.
That is right.
Maybe we'll come up with a better name for it before this episode launches. But yeah, it is a roundup of dumb frauds.
Yeah, that's right. In today's episode, instead of diving into just one fraud case, we're going to look at 4 fraud cases, all of which stood out to us as being particularly dumb.
Yeah, and maybe not entirely dumb, but stupidity makes an appearance.
Yeah, it's one of the main characters. So we hope you enjoy today's dumb fraud roundup.
Dateline, Hialeah, Florida. A few fun facts about Hialeah. I hope I'm saying that right. I think I'm saying that right.
That's how I would say it.
Yeah. All right. Hialeah is the 6th largest city in Florida as of the 2020 census. It is the 2nd largest city in the Miami metropolitan area. Hialeah has the highest proportion of Cuban and Cuban American residents in the United States. They make up 84% of the city's population.
That's a large percentage.
That is a large percentage. Among the many notable folks to come out of Hialeah are actress Catherine Keener. Do you know who Catherine Keener is, Greg?
Oh my gosh, Catherine Keener of the Keener family? Yes. She starred in movies or television.
Awesome. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Actor Vincent D'Onofrio. Am I saying that right? That's a hard one. I hate it when people have apostrophes in their names.
You picked a story with the hardest proper nouns.
Proper nouns.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, he's best known for Law and Order Criminal Intent.
Oh, all right.
But he's actually going way back. He was Private Pyle in Full Metal Jacket.
Oh, okay. That's Vincent D'Onofrio.
It's D'Onofrio for sure.
D'Onofrio.
Our correspondent from Hollywood here to make sure
Live from the red carpet.
How do you say it again?
D'Onofrio.
D'Onofrio. Perfect.
Right.
We got people yelling at their podcast app going, D'Onofrio, you stupid sons of bitches.
Okay, this one I know I can get right. Another famous Hialeahan. Man, that's a hard. What am I doing? Why am I trying to say all these hard words? Anyway,
Right.
Someone else that is famous that came out of Hialeah, Grammy-winning singer-songwriter John Cicada.
Nice.
And finally, Harry Wayne Casey, the founder and lead singer of Casey and the Sunshine Band.
You got to love Casey and the Sunshine Band.
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes to disco music that sticks around, hard to beat Casey and the Sunshine Band.
Holds up. It
Yeah.
holds up.
For sure.
And maybe we'll sneak into a Quentin Tarantino soundtrack.
Right.
in there.
Exactly.
Okay. Finally, the city of Hialeah's official mascot is Leah the Flamingo. It's true. Leah the Flamingo became the city's official mascot in April 2024. The city's official page for Leah states, quote, with her elegant beak, she's a master at savoring the crispy golden croquetas, whether stuffed with ham, cheese, or anything in between. But what's a croqueta without a cafecito to wash it down? Leah's cafecito addiction is legendary. She's often spotted perched at the local Ventanita, sipping her tiny cup of strong Cuban coffee. Now, I don't know about you, Greg, but I do want to see an over-caffeinated flamingo.
I do.
I do, like just like jacked.
Yeah.
Like jacked.
Right. Just
Flamingos.
fidgety where they can't stand on one leg because they're just too busy shaking.
Where they're just on two legs because they just can't stop shaking.
Exactly. The thing that strikes me is that is a lot of backstory for a city mascot that just came into being
Very new
earlier
mascot.
this year. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. They're excited. It has an
they
Instagram
are.
account. Go check
Oh.
it out. Leah the Flamingo. And, probably over-caffeinated.
Yeah. Subscribe.
Yeah. As for the purposes of our show, Hialeah is, as we mentioned, part of South Florida. And South Florida is, quote, ground zero for healthcare fraud, according to a CNBC report on Medicare and Medicaid fraud from 2003. Excuse me. That is a report on Medicare and Medicaid fraud from 2023.
Oh, you made a Greg Kyte style mistake there.
I totally made a Greg Kyte mistake.
You see the number and you still say it wrong. Accounting.
Yeah. Anyway, that same report says that taxpayers lose more than $100 billion in Medicare and Medicaid fraud every year. And some people even think that estimate might be low.
Jeez. That's $100 billion.
$100 billion. Yeah, $100 billion.
That is eye-popping.
That's a lot, right?
Yes.
But, Greg, I have to ask, do you have any idea how much we spend on Medicare in the United States annually? I'm just talking about Medicare now. Any idea? Actually, no. I'm sorry. Medicare and Medicaid together.
$101 billion.
That would be funny.
100 billion of it is fraud, but 1 billion of it is going to the people who really need it the most.
Yeah. Actually, no. But it's an enormous amount of
Is
money.
it in the trillions?
It is, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay.
Medicare and Medicaid spending together in 2022 is about $1.7 trillion.
Wow. Okay. Well, you know that my day job, I am the accountant for a group of medical office buildings.
Yes.
And I do know how onerous Medicare and Medicaid, like their standards are on doctors.
Yeah.
And it's funny because a lot of doctors don't even take Medicaid or Medicare patients because the margins are too low.
Right.
Which is also interesting considering the volume we're just talking about
Yeah.
of Medicare and Medicaid spending.
Yeah. The federal government drives a hard bargain.
Yeah, they do.
So for this dumb story, it isn't so much that Medicare fraud is dumb. Medicare is a quite serious problem, actually.
Yeah.
But, play along, okay? We'll get to the good stuff.
Right.
So according to a Department of Justice press release, in February through April 2022, Hialeah resident Ernesto Cruz Graveron owned a company called Zico Enterprises. You think I'm saying that right? It's Xiko. Zico?
Yeah.
Zico.
I'd say Zico.
Zico Enterprises.
Again,
Okay, well,
again, you picked the best proper nouns.
man, so many. Okay. Anyway, Zico claimed to provide durable medical equipment to eligible Medicare beneficiaries. All right. Pause. Greg, Kyte, are you familiar with durable medical equipment?
More than I would hope that I would be.
Okay.
I suffer from sleep apnea, so my CPAP machine is a prime
DME,
example
man.
of durable medical equipment.
Right. So again, let me just see, since you are very familiar with this, I'll just try to confirm my understanding. But essentially, it is medical equipment that someone can use repeatedly. It isn't like a one-time use thing, like I don't know, like those little things, those the caps that they put over the thermometers that they stick in your ear.
Right. Right.
We're talking wheelchairs, we're talking crutches, CPAP machines, oxygen tanks, stuff like that. That is durable medical equipment.
Yeah. A albuterol inhaler, not durable medical equipment.
No, sir. Definitely not. Anyway, here's more from that press release. The complaint alleges that Zico, in only a 2-month period in 2022, submitted approximately $4.2 million in fraudulent healthcare claims to Medicare for durable medical equipment that Zico never provided and that Medicare beneficiaries never requested. As a result, Medicare paid Zico over $2.1 million. For example, according to the claims that Zico submitted to Medicare, one physician purportedly prescribed DME for Zico for approximately 145 Medicare beneficiaries, and Zico billed Medicare for $1 million for DME referred by this one physician. But according to the complaint, none of those 145 beneficiaries were in fact patients of that physician, and that physician never prescribed any of the billed for DME. So,
Wow.
that is actually pretty dumb, if I understand it. Right?
Yeah, well, and I'm trying to just do the math because it's a 2-month period, so we're talking 60 days,
Yes.
and we're talking 145 patients.
Yes.
I guess you could. Yeah, I guess it's not too hard to.
You're not taking
see
the weekends off.
145 patients in 60 days. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
but you're not. Are you working the weekends?
No, you're not working the weekends. So let's say it's 45 days.
Okay.
That's just 3 patients a day if you're working all the weekdays.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So it's reasonable,
Okay.
but also obviously fraudulent.
Yeah.
And dumb.
So I just want to I want to make sure that the audience understands this, but Zico submitted a bill to Medicare for millions of dollars in reimbursements for DME that they didn't provide
Yeah.
to beneficiaries who never requested them,
Right.
some of which weren't even patients of the physician who never prescribed the DME in the first place.
Yeah.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
That's real dumb.
You're just.
I mean, I can see it's confusing though too. So like, I understand maybe while that initially got past some people, but it didn't get past them for long.
Right. That's something that's going to get caught quickly upon if there's any scrutiny.
Right. All right. But it gets a little extra dumb when you hear about what happens next, Greg.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
On or around June 8th, 2022, the U.S. Coast Guard and the U.S. Customs and Border Protection officers, quote, located Graveron aboard a broken down jet ski in the waters south of Key West, headed in the direction of Cuba, roughly 90 miles away. Graveron was aboard the jet ski along with one other individual who was known to law enforcement to be an alien smuggler. The jet ski was outfitted with a special fuel cell to allow for long trips, and within the compartments of the jet ski, law enforcement discovered a trove of food and water bottles. So, maybe they could have made it to Cuba, Greg, but as the press release said, the jet ski broke down. And I don't know about you, but if I'm going to ride a jet ski 90 fucking miles to Cuba, I'm going to be sure that that jet ski can make it.
Right. If I just stole $2.1 million from Medicare, I think I'm going to buy the best
The jet ski that can get me to
that
Cuba.
will not break down. Yeah. Get me the best non-breakdownable jet ski that $2.1 million can buy.
No, he took the hoopty jet ski.
Right. Right.
Why? Why did he take the hoopty jet ski?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. At the very least, he could got the Toyota jet ski, right?
Yeah,
that can go 200,000 miles without breaking a sweat.
Right, exactly. You don't have to change. If changing the oil on the jet ski is just a suggestion,
right?
Yeah,
yeah. You can really, put 9,000 miles on that change.
Right, exactly.
And also, here's the other thing: why is his travel buddy a human trafficker?
Oh, he was a human trafficker?
Well, it said an alien smuggler.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess
we're not talking about little green men, Greg.
Right. I guess I saw that, and I didn't. Those words didn't make sense together, so my brain just blopped over. Yeah. So okay.
I don't know why he's letting a human trafficker tag along.
Right.
Because if you're making a break for it on a 90-mile jet ski trip, you're going to need somebody who can fix anything under any circumstances.
Right.
Like, he should have MacGyver on that jet ski.
Yeah. MacGyver would be great. B.A. Baracus would be amazing.
Oh, who's that?
Oh, that was Mr. T from the A-Team. Yeah,
oh,
yeah. He was there.
Okay.
He was the muscle, but if I remember right, he also fixed the shit.
Yeah, he fixed everything.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe he'd have to leave, all the gold chains behind, but whatever. At least you wouldn't break down and be stranded.
No. If you're fleeing the country, gold chains are not going to be anything but helpful for you.
Yeah. Oh, man. All right. A judge ordered Graveron to be held without bail until trial because apparently he's willing to give the jet ski getaway a try. And as of this recording, the case is still pending.
Dateline, Cheltenham, England, 2002. If you can't remember, 2002 was when Queen Elizabeth celebrated her Golden Jubilee, which was her 50th year as the Queen of England. Also, in early 2002, England had just gotten through its foot and mouth disease crisis. Caleb, do you remember the foot and mouth disease crisis?
Only the one that's happened in my own home.
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, because you have toddlers and they put their feet in their mouth?
Yes, of course, Greg.
Yeah. No,
Don't you remember?
This. Oh, I do. I do. And foot and mouth disease is not that. Foot and mouth disease, rather, is a highly infectious disease that can be fatal to cows and sheep and pigs. Symptoms include fever, shivering, lameness, drooling, and smacking lips. And this got out of hand in England starting in 2001. Like I said, they got over it in early 2002, but they had to slaughter about 6 million animals to control and contain the spread of the disease. But fortunately, foot and mouth disease does not affect horses. And coincidentally, this story involves horses.
Can we just stop for a second? How does the lameness show up? Are they just wearing really kind of nerdy clothes or
high-waisted jeans?
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. Just sheep and high-waisted wool pants.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's most of it.
Or maybe members only jackets or something.
Yeah. Glasses that are taped together because they were broken by bullies.
Right. Okay.
But after the end of both the foot and mouth crisis and the Queen's Golden Jubilee, a Cheltenham, England resident named Jacqueline Bowenson ordered a new debit card from her bank. And I don't think her reason for ordering that debit card had anything to do with either foot and mouth disease or the Golden Jubilee, but she just needed a new debit card. And after a while, she realized that the debit card hadn't come, and she became concerned, as any of us would be, and that the card had been stolen. So she checked her bank statement. But this is where things started to get weird, Caleb, because the debit card doesn't come. You're worried it got stolen. You're worried somebody drained your bank account. But instead of finding her bank account drained, she found that, strangely, an unexpected £291.40 had been deposited into her account by Ladbrokes.
That's not what you would expect.
No. But it's also delightful to say £291.40.
It is.
Makes me happy.
All right.
So you might be asking, Caleb, what the hell is Ladbrokes?
Yeah. What is Ladbrokes, Greg?
I'm so glad you asked.
Oh, good.
It's a gambling company in the UK. It has over 2,000 retail shops. And from what I was able to gather, and I'm sure that my understanding is incomplete at best, it's like a micro sports book and maybe has like some computer gambling terminals. The computer gambling terminals that I found in images on a Google search looked a lot like the computer gambling terminals you would find at a gas station in Las Vegas. That's anywhere in Nevada, really.
Yeah.
So that's what we're up against, and they were tiny, like it's just a little postage stamp of a shop where gambling addicts could go to become broke lads. It's called Ladbrokes, and I go, was that on purpose, or is somebody's last name Ladbrokes and just went into the gambling business? It's hard to tell. You can't really, I don't know. From the history on Wikipedia, they didn't get into that.
That's too bad, because I'm sure whatever the story is, I'm sure it's a fine. I'm sure it's a fine story.
And I'm sure people throughout the UK love to joke about broke lads at Ladbrokes.
Right. Look at all the broke lads over at Broke Lads.
Ladbrokes.
Ladbrokes.
Right.
Look at all the broke lads over at Ladbrokes.
There
broke
it is.
Lads? Broke
Nailing
lads.
it. Everything about Ladbrokes, anything speculative that I may have said about Ladbrokes, the one thing that's absolutely sure that I know for a certainty is that they do off-site betting for horse racing. Horses. You remember those?
I do.
The animals,
I do.
the one farm animal that was completely immune from foot and mouth disease.
That's right.
At this point in the United Kingdom, cow racing and sheep racing and pig racing had completely been shut down, but horse racing still going full steam.
Going strong.
The problem with the Ladbrokes mystery deposit into Jacqueline Bowenson's account is that Jacqueline Bowenson doesn't gamble. At least she hadn't gambled at Ladbrokes recently enough to have explained the £291.40 that was deposited into her account. So, Caleb, turns out what had happened is that her debit card had been stolen right out of her mailbox by a gentleman wanker named Andrew Cameron, not to be confused with former British Prime Minister David Cameron, who gambled and lost on Brexit. So Andrew Cameron, after stealing Jacqueline Bowenson's debit card, he went straight to a Ladbrokes and he placed two 50-pound bets on two horses, and he ended up winning on both bets, which, first off, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But also, since he placed the bet using a debit card, Ladbrokes' policy is that the winnings have to go back on the debit card and you can't get them in cash. As a matter of fact, the only way if you place a bet on a debit card that you can get cash is if you have a picture ID that matches the debit card. But unfortunately, Andrew Cameron had only stolen the debit card and had not also stolen Jacqueline Bowenson's driving license.
Can't win them all.
You can't. So Andrew Cameron pleaded guilty to stealing the card and was sentenced to 12 months probation. And my favorite part of this story is that Jacqueline Bowenson was allowed to keep the 291 pounds 40 pence that Andrew Cameron had won on her behalf.
Yeah. For the trouble.
For the trouble. Also for poetic justice. Misuse, Caleb, we talk a lot on this podcast about misuse of credit cards as a kind of a regular type of fraud that comes up. And Jacqueline, she did a lot of things right. She kept track of when the card should have arrived. She checked her account when it didn't arrive in a timely fashion. And I've got to assume that she canceled the card as soon as she saw the weird stuff going on in her account. But one of the things that I think I don't know. I don't remember us talking about this specifically or in depth before, but reconciling your bank statement, especially like even your credit card statement.
Yep.
It's imperative to catching credit card fraud, regardless of whether you're talking about individuals or businesses. And I'm shocked. I don't know if you're the same way as me. I'm shocked at how many people don't keep receipts or any kind of records about the spending that they do on their credit card. They just assume that what comes through on their card is legit, and they just accept it at full value. So, don't do that if you want to avoid credit card related fraud. Also, one of the things, this has never come up on the podcast before, locking mailboxes. It's a great way to prevent credit card fraud.
There you go.
At least to prevent those credit cards or debit cards from being stolen.
Dateline, Southeast Texas, circa 2009. There's a widely held study out there that found some large number of American drivers, something like 80 or 90%, believe that they are above average at driving. Greg, have you heard about this?
I have. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm familiar.
Now, yes, this is mathematically impossible, but I don't know if you've noticed this, but on a daily basis, I see lots of bad drivers on the road every time I'm out driving.
Right.
So that's pretty anecdotal and not at all scientific. But I guess what I'm saying is that the common sense would tell you that the 80 or 90% is too high, right? Especially
Absolutely.
when you know the fact. The fact is that the vast majority of accidents, more than 90%, are caused by human error.
Right.
Like it isn't the car's fault.
Right. Not everybody's driving a Cybertruck.
That's right. Conversely, no one ever expects that someone caused a car accident on purpose.
Correct.
Right. Okay. In October 2009, Andy Lee House, a proprietor of a salvage yard for exotic cars, acquired a 2006 Bugatti Veyron. Now, in case you're not familiar, and I was not, I will regale you now with some of this car's specifications and performance because I'm not going to lie, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Bugattis have come up on the podcast before.
Have they?
Yeah.
I don't, wow. I do not recall.
I
When
think
did this
so.
happen?
Well, maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought in the polygamist fraud episode, they
that's
bought
possible.
I think they might have bought, somebody might have bought a Bugatti. So yeah.
All right. There have been many Lambos. Lambos have come up on many occasions.
Yes.
Anyway, but no, we are talking about a Bugatti Veyron. Okay. First, it has a 8-liter quad turbocharged W16 cylinder engine. What is a W16, you ask?
I want to know, what is a W16?
I'm going to tell you. It's essentially two V8 engines bolted together.
So it's something that's necessary for the person with the tiniest penis ever.
Yeah. Two V's make a W and two 8s make a 16. See, cars aren't really complicated at all.
I just
Greg?
can't even imagine the size hood that must be on this car.
Yeah.
Does it take up 2 lanes on the freeway because you've got 2 V8s bolted together?
Moving on. The Veyron has a, quote, dual clutch direct shift computer controlled automatic transmission having 7 gear ratios with the magnesium paddles behind the steering wheel and a shift time of less than 150 milliseconds. Did I just say cars weren't complicated?
Yes.
Okay. They're complicated.
Right.
And in case you're curious, to replace the transmission would cost you $120,000.
Chump change.
You know, where I grew up in Nebraska, Greg, you can get houses for far less than $120,000.
Right. Well, and just normally you could get at 3 normally priced cars for the price of 1 transmission for a Bugatti Veyron.
Yeah, you could live. You could move to rural Nebraska. You could take $120,000, move to rural Nebraska, get a house, and probably 3 cars,
Yeah.
and
Amazing.
maybe still have money left over.
Right. So
Yeah.
expensive cars,
Expensive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What else? It has permanent all-wheel drive.
of course.
Yeah. It's no Subaru, but whatever. It features Michelin Pax run flat tires that cost $25,000 per set.
Right. So the equivalent of a Subaru just for a set of tires.
Yeah, it's just for the tires. Weighs over 4,000 pounds.
So light.
Top speed, 253 miles per hour.
Impressive.
One of the fastest production cars ever made.
Yep.
It was named Car of the Decade by the BBC TV show Top Gear. Greg, would you like to guess what this car costs?
No, because I already saw it in the show notes.
Yeah, $1.6 million.
That's a lot of dollars.
A lot of money.
That's
a lot
a
of
lot
money
for
a
a car. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, on a pleasant Wednesday in early November 2009, Andy House was driving his Bugatti Veyron in or around La Marque, Texas, when he suddenly veered off into a saltwater lagoon.
Oh.
Apparently, he had been distracted by a, quote, low-flying pelican. At least that's what he told the website Jalopnik, who somehow got wind of the story.
So he's an avid bird watcher, and that was one of the last ones on his card. He's like,
Yeah.
is that the pink-breasted Gulf Coast pelican? Because I need that one.
Yeah. Anyway, the good news is that Andy got out of the car safely. The bad news is he left the engine running, and that, of course, sucked a bunch of salt water into the car, which, of course, ruined the car.
Okay.
But more good news, he had insurance.
Thank goodness. But I mean, if your car's going to cost that much freaking money and you're not insured, then you have to be on the dumb fraud podcast.
Right. Anyway, he filed a $2.2 million claim the next day.
Okay.
Unfortunately for Andy, someone had witnessed the whole incident and captured it with their iPhone. And the video is conspicuously absent of any pelicans.
Okay. No, 0 pelicans.
No pelicans. No pelicans anywhere.
And they were on panoramic with that iPhone, so
Yeah.
you'd see a pelican if it
Well,
was there.
it's 2009, so iPhones were relatively new at the time.
That's true. Good point.
Yeah. They
Good
were,
point.
But the video, which is in the show notes, which you should watch, I highly recommend that you watch the video. In the details of the video, the guy who posted it recorded the video. He says he used an iPhone. So
Okay. iPhone, not even a sponsor of the podcast.
no, not even. There you go.
Should be.
iPhones recording dumb frauds. Okay. Andy House claimed it was all a misunderstanding and that he was reaching for his phone, and that's why he drove into the lagoon. Not surprisingly, not everyone bought this story, and they were quite suspicious of him crashing an overinsured ultra luxury car to collect on the insurance.
Right.
Yeah.
Which that does make sense. I guess we didn't point out that if you've got a $2.2 million claim on a car that cost $1.6 million new, but yours was 3 years old. Yeah.
I think he bought it for $1 million.
Okay. So yeah, very, very over-insured car.
Yes. Nevertheless, in 2010, House bought a new Veyron, perhaps putting some rumors about the cause of his crash to rest. But then, in 2011, House was sued by Philadelphia Insurance, claiming that he crashed the car to collect the big insurance payday of $2.2 million. Makes sense. The car doesn't really change hands for much more than 1.5. But something was afoot. Philadelphia even claimed that House tried to pay someone to steal the car and burn it so he could collect on the insurance. I don't know how they found that out, but that is hilarious.
That's classic insurance fraud right there.
Yeah.
Steal it and burn it.
Blow it up. In 2012, Jalopnik reported on the delay of the fraud trial between Philadelphia Insurance and Andy House. Included in that story was this little gem. Quote, after the accident, House also sent us an image of his garage, and it shows his new Veyron, a Lamborghini Gallardo Superleggera. I don't know if I'm saying that right, a Lamborghini Murcielago LP640, and a Porsche 911 GT3 RS.
Wow.
Added together, these cars are worth roughly, yep, you guessed it, $2.2 million. There's no way for us to know if these cars belong to House or are part of his salvage business that he runs. Fantastic.
Yeah. But it's nice when the numbers tie out like that.
Yeah, it's really, as former accountants. Well,
Yes.
as I'm a former accountant, but you are a current accountant.
It's very, very satisfying.
It's very satisfying when the numbers just, work how they should. Anyway, in 2014, House was charged and pleaded guilty to wire fraud. In December of 2015, he was sentenced to 1 year and 1 day in federal prison. There you have it. That is the case, Greg Kyte, of the soggy Bugatti.
Dateline, Tampa, Florida, 2001. Caleb, I probably have never mentioned this to you before, but my son's favorite restaurant, and I am not making this up, is Little Caesar's Pizza.
Oh,
Yeah. He's not 8, he's 20. So
well, look, bad pizza is better than no pizza at all.
well, and that's the thing. He loves it, and he would never call it bad pizza.
Okay.
My son is a certified cheap date. And because of my son's affinity, long-standing affinity for Little Caesar's Pizza, I have spent far too much time at various Little Caesar's locations waiting for my pizza to be put into the pizza portal machine that's in those. If you know, you know. And one thing that I have become totally convinced of is that Little Caesar's employees are unsung heroes. Like, they're amazing. Sure, none of them have any social skills or any customer service skills, but they also somehow crank out 100,000 pizzas per employee per shift, which by any standards is fucking amazing.
Amazing.
They don't have time to make sure your experience was satisfactory or to pay attention to food safety regulations. For real, I had a friend who was a health inspector, and that health inspector's one blanket rule was never eat at Little Caesar's Pizza. So, one night in 2001, it was a Sunday at around 3:00 a.m. in Tampa, Florida. A manager from a Little Caesars franchise swung by a Bank of America branch to make his routine night deposit. He's done it a million times, but this time there happened to be a note saying that the bank's night deposit drawer was out of service and that customers should use the alternate box provided. So this Little Caesars manager, pulled forward to see this janky-ass alternate night deposit box. The alternate night deposit box was so janky, not only did he not put his deposit into the alternate box, he also called the Tampa Police Department to let them know about this questionable box. And let me remind you, this is a Little Caesars employee who had just spent hours serving thousands of hot and ready pizzas. So his attention to detail, I would say, would be questionable during regular business hours.
Sure.
But this was almost 4 a.m.
3:00 in the morning.
And so even to his tired, overworked eyes, he was able to immediately spot how janky and assed this alternate box was.
I'm picturing like a big piece of cardboard with an arrow, like with a Sharpie.
Right.
An arrow drawn in Sharpie.
Right.
Like, and it just says like this one.
Right. Right. Just like a dishwasher box that someone just cut a slot out of, like with a kitchen knife.
Yeah.
And Sharpie. Yeah. No, it wasn't that. When the police officers arrived, they discovered that the alternate box was actually a mailbox for overnight parcels that apparently A, had been unbolted and removed from wherever it was supposed to be, and B, had been stripped of all of the stickers and markings that identified it as a mailbox for overnight parcels.
That sounds like a real hassle.
It does.
Like,
Yeah.
why would, like, have you seen those things? Those things don't move.
Right.
Like to unbolt one and then get all of those decals off of it. Like if it's a FedEx one, how would you even do that?
Yeah, well, but listen to this. When the police opened it up, they discovered that $35,000 had already been deposited in the fake alternate night deposit box. Again, maybe be embarrassed if you got fooled by a thing that didn't fool a Little Caesars employee. I mean, again, no shade to them.
No.
They're heroes, but also we know.
Fourth responders. What? Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So here's what the Tampa Police Department did. They replaced the real bags of money in the fake night deposit box with fake bags of fake money in the fake night deposit box.
Okay. Say that again.
Okay. So they found the $35 of deposits.
$35,000
of deposits in the box.
Okay.
They took that out.
Okay.
And they replaced it just with bags of fake money.
Okay.
And then they set up surveillance. And in my mind, they hid behind some bushes.
Right.
As is what they did.
Totally.
And waited. So as I said, Little Caesars guy, that was somewhere after 3 a.m. on a Sunday morning. At about 7 p.m. that same Sunday, the loot was picked up by a gentleman named Leroy Clark Jr., not to be confused with Gary Clark Jr., a guy who the only thing he picks is a soulful blues guitar.
Yes, that's true.
But Leroy Clark Jr., when he came to pick up the loot from his fake alternate night deposit box, he showed up wearing a ski mask because in Florida, lots of people not doing crime wear ski masks. The police followed him to his nearby apartment where he was arrested with the fake money, the real ski mask, and a real 9mm handgun. Leroy was charged with grand theft and with carrying a concealed weapon without a permit, possession of a firearm in the commission of a felony, obstructing arrest, and escape from police custody.
Oh.
The last two charges were because after they confronted him at his apartment, he ran away.
Right.
As a ski masked felon is wont to
do. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, Caleb, we've seen lots of fraudsters who create a lot of fake stuff on this podcast.
Sure.
Mostly fake invoices and fake contracts. In episode 43, however, we dove into Rudy Kurniawan, who created and bottled fake high-end vintage wines. You remember that one?
I do remember.
Classic.
Yes. Classic.
But regardless, before you pay an invoice or put cash in a night deposit box, make sure it's legit.
Right.
And
no cardboard signs written in Sharpie.
Right. Which again, I wish it was that, and I wish there was $35,000 of deposit just in a cardboard box outside of a Bank of America. But this is the next best thing.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
But Caleb, back to like the fake invoices. Have you ever thought about fraudsters out there who just send out, just kind of blanket, just one fake invoice per company that they can find an address to, and they just send it out and just hope somebody will pay for it. And I assume they probably use like a smaller dollar amount, so people just go, oh, I don't know if this is a legit invoice, but it's for $45. Let's just pay it. It costs less money to pay it than it does to verify if it's a real invoice, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not unlike a lot of I think we talked about it with Dan Simons and Chris Chabris.
Yeah,
where they said like the phishing scams, the numbers of attempts number in the hundreds or thousands maybe.
Yeah,
and I have to believe that if you sent out, I don't know, a few hundred fake invoices, you'd get some back,
right,
with the payment.
And I think the trick is, and then if somebody says, oh, hey, I don't think this invoice is legit, you just apologize and go, oh, sorry, my bad. I meant to send it to somebody else.
No harm, no foul.
As long as you don't send 2 invoices to this, you don't get greedy and you're like, this guy paid the last invoice, he'll pay the next one too. Just keep sending them out to new people. I think you could get away with a lot of fraud for a long time and never get caught and make quite a bit of money doing it. So fake shit is real. Make sure that you're only paying stuff that's legit.
Okay, Greg, did we learn anything?
You know, Caleb, I think the main thing that we learned is that of all the getaway vehicles available to a criminal, a jet ski is probably near the bottom of the list.
Yeah.
We also learned that if you
maybe a Bugatti if you can't drive it right.
Right, exactly. Well, also,
what good is going 253 miles an hour if you're going to drive it into a fucking swamp?
All right, that's it for this episode. Remember, the only thing less probable than winning money at the racetrack is making £291 40 pence when someone steals your debit card.
And also remember, if you're going to wreck your car by driving it into a lake, be sure you're texting when you do it.
If you want to drop us a line, send us an email at ohmyfraud@earmarkcpe.com. Caleb, where can people find you out there in the internet landscape?
LinkedIn/Caleb Newquist. Greg, are you on the internet?
Rarely.
Oh.
But I do parachute into LinkedIn about once a quarter nowadays. So you can find me on there. I am Greg Kyte, CPA on LinkedIn.
Delightful. Oh My Fraud is written by Greg Kyte and myself. Our producer is Zach Frank. Rate, review, and subscribe to the show wherever you listen to podcasts. If you listen on Earmark, you can get some free CPE too. Nothing dumb about that.
Nope. And it's time.
Yeah.
Don't stop procrastinating.
Or keep procrastinating and just listen to all 70 plus episodes in the last 2 weeks of the year.
Right,
Whatever works for you.
Yeah.
No judgment.
Between Christmas and New Year's, just keep those headphones on and listen at double speed.
Yeah. Get a nice pair of headphones for Christmas. Just plays through them. Right? Right.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. Join us next time for more avarice swindlers and scams from stories that will make you say,
Oh my fraud.